Please give me a moment while I go live on Facebook. We'll be getting started in just a second. And I think we should be live on Facebook. Hi everybody. Welcome to another video of the Strategic Swing Trader. I am Sami Abu Saad, Director of Education at T3 Live. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good weekend so far. We're going to get started by taking a look at some amazing ideas for next week, swing ideas, as well as the market. But before we do, as always, a standard required disclaimer to let you know that trading is risky and that whatever we discuss is for educational purposes only. If you'd like to download a copy of my free ebook, link for that is in the description below the video. But without further ado, let's turn to the charts and get started. So as I said, I'm going to go over some really good watch lists for next week, and we'll go over the market. If you find benefit in today's video, I'd like to help support the T3 Live channel. Please be sure to hit the like button, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube. That helps us out a lot. If you have any questions for me or any of us at T3, send us an email, info@t3live.com. Again, info@t3live.com. All right, let's take a look at the market first. We have a downtrend now in place. We have, let me take out my annotation tool. We have lower highs and lower lows. Excuse me. We broke the uptrend, which has, the uptrend is defined as higher highs and higher lows. So we already broke the uptrend, as you can see. That was an uptrend in place for a long time. And we finally broke the uptrend. Now we have a downtrend. Of course, at the beginning of the downtrend, it's always sloppy. But we have actually a downtrend with lower highs and lower lows. Friday's bar was very bullish, no doubt. But that doesn't mean much, because we have a downtrend, okay? I'm sure these bars were really bearish. This sell-off looked really bearish at the time. And then what happened to it? It failed to follow through, and the trend continued, the market continued higher. So Friday's bar was definitely very bullish. But again, that doesn't mean anything unless we actually follow through. The bar produces follow through, and we end up actually going right back up. We break the downtrend, we break that prior pivot high, then we have something to talk about, okay? SPY is not any different. The SPY, we were looking at the SPY actually, sorry. The Qs is weaker. So same exact kind of bar we got, a bottoming tail bar, but it's actually even weaker. Notice the SPY is pretty close to the 20. The Qs is way below the 20. This low is much lower than the prior low. On the SPY, the lows are almost even. So obviously the Qs is much weaker. The Qs is the tracking ETF for the NASDAQ 100. It represents the largest 100 companies in the NASDAQ. And the largest 100 companies in the NASDAQ account for, I don't know, like 95% of the NASDAQ capitalization. So it really is, the Qs is the NASDAQ basically, okay? And the SPY is the S&P 500, the tracking ETF for it. Now, if we were to look at the IWM, and now the IWM has been basing for the whole year, literally since February, or even, yeah, since the beginning of February or so, been just completely sideways. But guess what? I just want to say this. If you have a strong move up, and then a base at the top, is that a sign of strength or weakness? When you have a strong move up and then a base, that's a sign of strength. Now, it's taken a long time, and eventually it may end up rolling over, and we may say, well, this was a rounding top after all. Yes, that may eventually end up being true, okay? But we don't know yet. But in general, if you have a move, stocks correct either through time or price. So through time by going sideways, through price by pulling back. A sideways base is more bullish than, or a correction through time is more bullish than a correction through price, okay? So that's what we have here in the IWM. It's too early to tell. We can't tell. We would have to wait for either breakout, right? In which case, all out bullish, or a breakdown, in which case the IWM will be following the Qs and the SPY because they've already started pulling back. Okay, the SPY, that's the monthly chart, the Qs, the weekly chart, the monthly chart. But you know, and this is a pretty bearish looking chart, whether you look at the SPY or the Qs in terms of that top. But what matters is the follow through. Okay, whether we get follow through or no follow through. So we're in the early stages of a possible top. I talked about it the last 2 weeks. I told you I shorted 1,000 shares, which is true, the absolute truth, of the Qs at 378.87 or something like this back here on the rounding top. I covered too early, so that's, you know, so that's the rounding top. But the point is, we did put in a top. Now it's time to kind of see whether we produce follow through to the downside, or we are quickly, or that downtrend is quickly reversed. I'm going with the downtrend for now, so I'm more bearish than bullish for sure, unless this downtrend that we have on the daily chart fails. At that point, then we can talk about flipping the bias back to bullish. Okay, but keep an eye on the IWM because it's still basing at the top. XLF, which is the financials, are also at the top, and that's really bullish. That's the ETF for the financials, basing at the all-time high. So keep an eye on that. Technology looks, I mean, the semis look lower, SMH a little bit lower. We'll find out more and more by the week, like next week, this week, upcoming week will give us more and more information. Okay, but for now, I'm gonna maintain my bearish bias. Okay, maintaining my bearish bias. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the swing ideas for the week. I may have to take the projection down for a minute here. I may have to, one sec. While this list up, hold on just a second. I may have to, as I said, to take down the charts. Let's do that. 1 second, please. Sorry about that. Okay, we're good now. We're good now. Here we go. Back. All right. So here's the bullish watch list for this week. Okay, we got AFRM on a pullback. That's not a bad pullback. Long, I like it over 121.30. Stop under 110.60. Okay, it's a daily buy setup. I don't know if this has a target. Really, the all-time high should be the target about 146.90 or so, 140, 145. Let's just say I always look for the target to be slightly below the prior high. So, but like it higher as a long over 121.30. Stop under 110.60. ARAY is a monthly buy setup. I have a lot of long-term watches that I really like, but a lot of them will not work unless the market turns back up. Okay, so in the long run, most everything follows the market, unless if the market continues lower, a lot of these will not work. But if the market fails on this recent downtrend and goes back up, then these should do really well, in my opinion, of course. ARAY has been in a downtrend since, I mean, it topped out in 2014. So we're talking 6-7 years, okay? Finally broke the downtrend in 2020, last year, and this is the first pullback to the newly rising 20 MA on the monthly chart. So I like this a lot as a long-term play. Like it over 420, stop under 347, okay? 346. So I like this as a long-term play. Best is just a daily buy setup. So the stocks that have only a daily setup, those are swing trades. The stocks that have long-term setups on the monthly, sometimes even on the weekly, those are longer term trades, not just for a few days like swing trades are, but longer term. So best is just the daily buy setup. I like it over 170, stop under 156, and the target is the prior high around 194 for target 1, and I think 250 for target 2, this prior high right here for target 2 on the BEST. CYTK, I mean, amazing bullishness. The market drops hard, and in CYTK, base is at the all-time high. I don't know if it's at the all-time high, but sure is. Yeah. So oh no, sorry, it's not. See, I had to open up the chart, look at the monthly, but look, it's been basing at resistance from 2008, 2009. Basing at resistance is bullish. That's like, you know, it's refusing to come in. It reaches the resistance, but instead of the supply forcing prices lower, it actually bases. So that's a sign of bullishness. It broke out already last week. I wish I caught it on Thursday, but I didn't. But it still looks good. It's not too late. I like it over Friday's high, which is 36.75. I would give it to 31.99 for the stop. I'd give the stop to 31.99, and target on this, I'm not really sure what it would be. Probably, I mean, it has room to $57 because this resistance right here, it already took out. Okay, so the next target area would be this pivot at $57. That's a huge move. It would be like an 80% move on the CYTK. Guess what? I like GE long as a long-term play also. GE's been ended the downtrend, right? It's been basing bullishly, so I like it over 107.40 or so on the GE. 107.36, but let's just say 107.40 long. Stop under 96, and I like it to 160. Naturally, if the market drops, GE probably will not get to 160, okay, or whatever that number is. The 200 MA is about actually 180 on the monthly chart. But if the market goes back up, fails on that recent downtrend, then I think GE looks good long term as an investment more than a swing trade. I like GIS also as an investment. It's a monthly buy setup. Looks higher to $70. Okay, so GIS, I like it over 61.25. Okay, stop under 56.67. Monthly buy setup looks higher to $70. GOED is only a swing, so I'd have to go to the daily chart to show you the setup, and it's a pullback. It's a little pullback to the rising 20, so I like it, not too bad. I like it over 317. Stop under under $3, 2.99, and target probably gets to at least 450, and maybe even $6 for target 2 on the GOED. HMHC reminds me a little bit of the CYTK, basing at the highs for a while now while the market pulled back, so that's a sign of strength. I like it over 1450. Stop under the base. So the base, you know, I would just say about 1294 looks like. I mean, we can give it also to 1285 if you really want to be safe under 1285. Entry over 1350. I'm sorry, entry over 1450. Okay, and then this one has plenty of room to $20 or so on the HMHC. IBKR, lovely monthly buy setup on the IBKR. Check it out. Wow, I mean, that may be my favorite chart on the monthly time frame. Needs to take out the red bar's high for it to trigger, so that's 66.08. okay, stop under 58.84, or one can cheat the stop and use a tighter stop and use the daily pivot instead of the monthly pivot for the stop. So the entry is still the same over 66.10 or so up here, and then the stop either 62.30 or 58.80. That would be the safer stop, and the target is the all-time high $80 on the IBKR. That's Interactive Brokers. KIRK is another lovely monthly buy setup. Pull back to the monthly chart, so I like this long. I'll go back to the daily chart. I like it over this bar's high, which is 2071, with a stop under 1868. The target 1, I would say this prior high to be safe, just for target 1, but target 2 is the prior high, the all-time high, around, let's say, $30. Maybe even the all-time high, it looks like, is at 34.50. I don't know. Yeah, 34.50, that's the all-time high. So I like the KIRK also long-term. Another couple that I'll skip to that I like long-term off the monthly is PENN, is one of them. This was the strongest casino stock coming out of the pandemic. It rallied from 375 to 140, okay, to 142. Astronomical. Has had a really deep pullback, more than 50%. But I think it's going to be ready to move back up Okay, now it triggered a couple months ago in at the beginning of August, or in August. The entry should have been over 79, but as you can see, it hasn't really gone anywhere. So I like it a lot. That's the weekly chart, looks good. I like it, I mean, ideally over 85, but that would make for a large stop. So I would say just over $79 or so. That's 78.94, so over 79. Stop under the red bars low, which is 70 bucks. Target 140, all-time high on the PENN. And then another one that I like long term would be the TRIP. Okay, TRIP looks good to me long term. Deep pullback to the rising 20, worth a shot for sure. Very clean buy setup. I like it over 37.60 with a stop under 31.91. I like to look at multiple time frames. So over this bar's high, which is 37.60, can use the high. One can use the higher low, which is 33.14, as a stop, and then the target really has room to 60 bucks. But let's just say 50 for target one to be safe, because it's a deep pullback. Sometimes they don't go all the way back up to the prior high, and maybe target two at $60 or so. Netflix is an open position in the newsletter already. I was gonna add to it last week, and then I ended up not adding to it because the market started dropping, and of course it popped anyway. So Netflix is ignoring the market, and as you know, 3 weeks ago Netflix was my pick as the next mega cap stock to do really well, and it's doing. I mean, it's doing really well. It's at the all-time high. I like it higher over this bar's high with a stop down here at 568. I like it over 620 by 568. Big stop, but it's a long-term play. Okay, we talked about the PENN, talked about the Netflix. Another one that I like long-term is the Uber. Don't love it, but it has a monthly buy setup and a weekly 1, 2, 3. This is a weekly 1, 2, 3. So long would be over 47.43, stop under 43.86, and then the monthly buy setup. So like it as a long-term play. So in terms of long-term plays, there's a lot. I like, as I said, the CYTK, which we talked about. GE, we talked about. GIS, we talked about. HMHC, I don't mind it as a long-term play also. IBKR, for sure long-term. KIRK, for sure long-term. Netflix, for sure long-term. PENN, long-term. And then last but not least is the actual TRIP and Uber. We talked about all of these already. So let's continue and finish up the list. I know it's a long list, and if you're a subscriber to the newsletter, to the Strategic Swing Trader, feel free to log on to your account, to your T3 Live account, and you'll see which ones I picked for my own account and for the newsletter as well. So, or if you'd rather wait for the email for you to receive the email, it should hit your inbox by tomorrow morning by about 7:30 a.m. Okay, giving you 2 hours if you want to submit any orders before the market opens, as I certainly do. I submit my orders before the market opens. MCRB is a daily breakout, so over 7:30 or so, stop under 668 and target $10. It's a swing trade, not a long-term trade. MTCR is a daily buy setup, sort of, long over 360, 357, stop under 325 and target $4. Maybe it gets to $5 for target 2, the back half. Mountain, I forgot to talk about as a long-term play because it's got a 1, 2, 3 on the weekly chart. So I like it a lot. Don't love the daily. It's not quite good on the daily. But if it takes out 354, stop. I like it higher. Stop under 332. And again, this is at the all-time high. So long-term play. Like it as a long-term play on the mountain. PRGS, I don't quite remember what it looks like. Okay, it's the hourly base breakout. So over Friday's high, which is $50. Stop under the base, which should be the lowest point in the base is 48.50, and target about $54, just shy of 54, it looks like. So it's an hourly base breakout, daily pullback. RELY is a new stock, relatively speaking, just a few days old, and has a transition on the hourly chart. So I like it over that base, stop just under Friday's low. So I like it over 38.04, stop under 37, target 1, maybe that prior high right here at 39.20, and target 2, this congested area right here. If you look at the 15-minute chart on this, that's a pretty nice base. We just need to clear it, and the stop just below it. That's pretty tight for a swing trade, but it's a new stock, so it doesn't have a lot of history, doesn't have a long, a trend, much of a trend. So I'm willing to play it off the 15. Okay. TNET is already an open position in the newsletter, and now it's set up as a 1, 2, 3 on the weekly chart. Like it a lot. I like it over this bar's high, which is 97.30. Stop under 93.90 as a longer term play. Super bullish. It's I think it's an HR payroll company, and then WINT is a daily base breakout. I don't think that's a long-term play, but let me see the monthly chart. Yeah, the monthly is downtrending, but it could have a decent move if it took out 212, like it higher. This bar's high is what, 240? Could be target 1, and then target 2 is $3 on the YNT. Okay, YINT. The shorts, we have BIG 1, 2, 3. So the igniting bar, the narrow range bar, and the continuation lower. I like it under 42.30 with a stop over 43.72. And then in terms of target, this one probably is taking out the support, so that's good. Really has room to, who knows? I mean, it has plenty of room to $32, but I don't know what the exact target would be for this one, because there's multiple support areas below, and I'm not sure which one would hold. So you'd have to kind of watch and see how the stock reacts to those various price levels, support areas, okay? BLDP, and this is called the 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 1, 2, 3 pattern is one of my favorite patterns, whether playing long or short. When playing long, basically it comes usually after a base breakout. You get the igniting bar, the narrow range bar, just small bar at the top, and then hopefully the continuation bar. Sometimes we get 2 narrow range bars, okay? And then a continuation higher. The same to when playing to the downside. You get the initial breakdown, the sell-off, and then the couple of doji bars, and then the continuation lower. So this would be a 1, 2, 3, 4. So bar 1 is the igniting bar, bar 2, and bar 3 are the narrow range bars. And if we get a breakdown bar tomorrow, Monday, then that would be the trigger bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, bearish continuation play. So this one I like lower under this bar, the red bar's low, which is 13.73, and the target on it is 10 bucks, I think. And no, that's 12.80. 12.80 for target 1. $10 I think is the 200 MA on the weekly chart, because I remember, I just remember $10, but actually target 1 is 12.80. $10 would be target 2. EAR has been basing at the lows. I like short under the base, stop above. I'm in the FPRX, is similar, been in it for a while, and then HGen similar, okay? So EAR now is the next one that I like under the base, stop above it. It came after a gap down, but it needs to break. All of these ideas that I'm sharing with you, that I'm going over with you, need to trigger first. So they need to break the base, they need to break whatever resistance or support levels that I'm looking at. When we're looking at shorts, we want them to break support. When we're looking at long ideas, we want them to break out above a resistance point before jumping in, because we want them to prove themselves a little bit, okay? INCY is a weekly 1, 2, 3. INCY I was in and I got shaken out last week, but that's a nice weekly 1, 2, 3. So short under that doji bar, stop above it off the weekly chart, 67.40, stop over $70, and the target is the prior low at 62.50. Now I was in it short. I got in it short, I think this day, and then I tightened the trail, shook me out, I think on Thursday, and Friday I thought about getting back in it, but it was really sloppy, and I had so many other plays open, so I decided not to, and of course it dropped. So I'd like to get back in it off the weekly 1, 2, 3. IT is, notice the breakout failure right there on IT. That's a breakout failure right here. Now, if I use the annotation tool, it helps to kind of make it stand out, what I'm talking about. The attempt to break out, came back in, basing. So under the base, it'll be a nice breakdown. Now, I don't love the daily chart so much as I do the monthly. Look at that chart on the monthly. Just take on the monthly time frame. Take a look. It's not switching to monthly. I have a hotkey to switch to monthly, but look at that monthly. That looks pretty good for it to come in. It's gonna need the market probably to continue lower for this to really come in, but I love that monthly chart on IT. Okay, Gartner, I guess, is the name of the company. So short under the base, and then target, go on vacation. I'm just saying, this could be a longer term play. Target is about 260. JWN, a lot of the retail stocks have come back down to earth. Look at the AEO, which was one of my favorite monthly climactics. See this? AEO, American Eagle Outfitters, coming back down to earth. Probably makes its way all the way down to the 20 MA, maybe even to 20 bucks. Somewhere here, 20, even 18, AEO. So a lot of them are pulling back nicely. That's GPS, the Gap Store. What about ANF, Abercrombie? Didn't pull back as much. What about Urban? It's pulled back quite a bit. We saw KSS also pulling in. We saw on Thursday, I think BBY had a large gap down. No, triple BY, Bed Bath & Beyond. So the retail sector is under a lot of pressure. JWN had a terrific gap down 3 weeks ago here. Okay, gapped under multiple green bars, took out the support, so it's been really, really weak. And look at the big top that it formed on the weekly chart. So I like it under the base all the way down to $15 or so, okay, on JWN. So for tomorrow, I like it under $26, stop over 27.14. But as I said, it really has room all the way down to 15 bucks. MKC reported earnings on Thursday, gap down, has a 1-2-3. It's not my favorite idea, but it looks decent, I think. Under the support also, has plenty of room to drop. I'm not saying the MKC is going to drop all the way to 56, but guess what? If the market really turns bearish, I mean, like really starts to sell off, of course this will, in my opinion, will drop all the way down to the prior support area, around 56 bucks. So I like the MKC as a 1-2-3, okay, short. Path is an hourly or a daily base breakdown. It tried to go higher on this day, failed. So if it just breaks under the base, like it lower, the base is a little sloppy, so gotta give it room so as to not get shaken out. But I like the entry under the base, stop above it, and then who knows what the target is. There's no, you look to the left to find support. There's nothing to the left, no reference points, because it's a relatively new stock. It's only like 5 months old, but it looks lower, and then would have to manage it. PCAR is a 1-2-3, okay. So it's also under the support. That's good, under the major support. So looks lower. Don't know what the exact next target is gonna be. It's like this other one that I talked about that I said I don't know really what the target will be for, and it was the BIG, I think. So the BIG has a little bit of support here, a little bit more support there. The same with the PCAR, has a little bit of support. We already exceeded the support. It has a little bit of support right here, the congested area. Has more support at around 65 or so, 64. So I don't know exactly what the target is, but I like it short. Under Friday's low, stop above it. 78.48 by 80.20. A PHM, another 1-2-3. Wow, a lot of 1-2-3 plays. This one has a clear target area, which is 42.30, 42.50, let's just say. Clear. The other one's not as clear. SUNL is very much like the path. Remember the path, the breakout failure, but this is much more pronounced. It's also like IT. IT had a breakout failure that I showed you. This is much, much more pronounced. So I like it short under the base with a stop above the base. The one thing I don't like about SUNL is the 20 MA is totally flat. I like them when the 20 MA is pointing down a little bit. So this isn't the case, which is why I recommend using a wide stop on something like the SUNL, because it does not have a declining 20. The IT, at least the 20 is starting to point down. The SUNL is just flat. And then last but not least is the VYNE, which has a 1, 2, 3, 4. So the igniting bar, which is the breakdown bar, a couple of narrow range bars, and then if it breaks under those bars, then that would trigger short. I know this was a long list, and believe it or not, I have a longer list still that I will be watching tomorrow and the coming days. But I like to share with you the things that I think are really interesting for the next few days that might set up, if not tomorrow, maybe the day after. So you have some ammunition if you're not a subscriber, and it's free, so it doesn't hurt. And if you don't want to listen to me go over the list, you can just copy and paste it. It was pasted for you in the description of the video, just for your convenience. All right, everybody. Thank you for sticking around until the end. I hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you have, don't forget to hit that like button. Also, as I said, if you have any questions for us, reach out at info@t3live.com. Email us at info@t3live.com. But thank you so much for tuning in and staying with me until the end today. Have a good rest of the weekend and best of luck with your trading next week. Take care, everybody.